This week on Not Another Movie Podcast, an exciting and unexpected member joins the cast of Deadpool 2.
Exactly right. And an old favorite villain returns to the Star Wars universe.
And even though it was a flop, could we see a Power Rangers 2?
Yes.
Spoilers. Hello and welcome back to Not Another Movie Podcast. I'm Sean Pierce.
And I am a very happy Sean Kelly.
Yeah, well, you may be happy, but I am definitely not happy at the moment for two reasons.
Oh, really?
Yeah, two reasons. Last week, we gave a big shout out to all our fans in China. Well, that fell on deaf ears because no one from China downloaded that episode.
We must have scared them off somehow. You know what it was? It was you saying ni hao at the beginning.
Yeah, but they didn't even download it to listen to me say ni hao.
Good point. That's a good point. It got to them somehow. The internet, things travel quickly on the internet.
Yeah, like maybe they were... I'm actually convinced now that they thought our podcast was something else, and maybe there was a class and they're learning podcasts, and they clicked on the wrong link, and they clicked on not another movie podcast, your wife's podcast, but they end up clicking on not another movie podcast.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. She gets all those downloads from China.
Yeah.
They probably listened to her show and thought, we'll listen to the other one. It can't be that bad, can it? They got through 2 episodes and like, you know what, done.
Yeah, last week I said that it truly made my week. This week I've been so depressed because there's been no numbers at all coming through. And I'm like,
poor guy.
China, why have you abandoned us?
You don't you don't realize just how much like this affects your mood. You start a podcast just for the shits and giggles, and then suddenly you care about people listening to you shit on.
It's funny because I was a big player of... during the AFL season, like footy tipping and Super Coach, which is like a fantasy league. And my mood on the weekend was dependent on how well my stats were going in those games. So I stopped everything. I stopped doing footy tipping. I stopped doing fantasy sports so I could just enjoy the games. But now it's creeping back again because now I just keep watching the numbers after our show's been posted. And if it's not going well, funny. I'm in a bad mood for the rest of the week.
All right, well, I'm just going to have to get the bots going so I can put you in a good mood.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I won't tell you about it, though.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, and another reason why I'm in a bad mood, because tomorrow marks the end of the school term, which means there won't be any time for me to watch anything over the next 2 weeks because my kids will be up my ass for the whole time.
And for me, it's the exact opposite. Being a teacher, I'm finally going to get to have some 2 seconds to rub together.
Well, that's good. So you can actually talk about a movie for a change that we've seen this week.
I'm going to go and see all the movies and give you my expert reviews. It's going to be fantastic.
Any ones in particular you might go and watch?
No.
I'm glad you put a lot of thought into it.
I haven't even thought about what I'm going to be doing because we've just been through report writing time, which is the biggest pain in the butt, but it's done now. So now I can actually breathe.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad one of us is happy this week.
I just can't wait to read my own daughter's reports and just think the teacher just is shitting on so bad. They're just making this up because that's all teachers do.
Well, I remember, speaking of reports, my son last year was in prep, and the teacher who was his drama teacher, she wrote like this lengthy thing about certain things that I don't think I would even do now, let alone as a prep. And I'm like, how can you be so particular about these certain things in drama of all things?
Yeah, drama's supposed to be the blood subject, isn't it?
I agree. That's what I thought. But
and I say that as someone who's qualified to teach it.
But his grades were up this year in drama, so he must have read that feedback and took it on board.
Yes, I'm sure he did. Yeah, well done.
So well done, writer. All right, let's kick into the movie news, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
All right, well, there was a very unexpected and this probably made my week actually. This piece of news.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and there was an addition made to the cast of Deadpool 2. Now, if you've seen a film called Hunt for the Wilder People, you will know about this little kid who was in it who absolutely stole the show. His name is Julian Dennison, and this kid has just got comedy chops like I haven't seen a kid in a long time do. So for him to join the Deadpool cast is phenomenal news for me.
Everyone, no, I haven't seen this movie. This is one I might get to over the holidays finally because I've heard it's awesome. But everyone that when I was reading the articles about this was super psyched about this kid.
Yeah, he is phenomenal. And I don't know how he fits into this film, they haven't said. But even if he's just got, a really small role, this kid will steal every scene that he's in.
A couple of things I was reading, that the people want him to be like a sidekick like Laura was in Logan. And for Deadpool to be like, why can't you just shut up like that kid in Logan who didn't talk for half the movie?
That would be phenomenal if that is the case. I would love for him to be a sidekick to Deadpool because this kid is just a bigger smartass as what he is. So it would be phenomenal.
That would actually be a great story. Like, if they're doing Cable, they could do some time travel shenanigans. Cable comes back from the future with this clone of Deadpool from the future who's just like the slobbiest piece of crap superhero that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I want to see this movie now.
Yeah, and it was good that... and actually, Taika Waititi actually put it out to the world on his Twitter account, and he was a director for Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yeah.
And he put a photo up of Deadpool with this kid sitting on his back. So, as I said, I don't know how he fits into this, but as I said, I would love for this to happen, as you just said, for him to be the psychic.
Yeah.
AKA Logan style.
Yeah. Or if he's on his back, maybe he could be like the Yoda, and Deadpool has to be trained by him.
That's so cool. The
So run around,
possibilities
do
are
flips.
endless now.
Yeah, I can't wait for this movie.
Yeah, that is so cool. All right, well, something that we've been looking forward to and spoken about quite a lot, and that is the Avatar series. Now, every time James Cameron comes out with a movie, he tends to change the game. And if the rumors are true, he could possibly do it again with these next Avatar films. Basically, the story is that he's creating a glasses-free 3D film.
Which I can't even wrap my head around this.
No,
I don't understand how it works.
Well, this is apparently how it works. So, Lightstone Entertainment, which is owned by James Cameron, has extended its partnership with Christie Digital, who is manufacturing a new RGB laser projector system. Both companies are working forward to make the 4 Avatar sequels glasses-free 3D. The new projection system is described as a pure laser and can use 60,000 lums of bright images at an incredible high rate of frames, which will create a 3D effect.
Here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing opening night. Avatar opens around the world. 1 million people see it. 1 million people go blind. Because that's what I'm seeing here when they're shooting lasers at your eyeballs.
I don't know if it's shooting lasers at your eyeballs. It'd be shooting a laser at the screen, and the screen projects it back to your eyeballs, I'm guessing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know the physics of it, but I'm waiting for... I'm not going opening night, that's all I'm saying.
You might wait a couple of weeks.
I'll be a David Triffids kind of thing. One night is fine. If people... Although, you never know. Maybe it's something that'll come on like a week later.
Yeah.
Everyone in the world just goes blind. Maybe this is just an elaborate jewel heist planned by James Cameron. Make everyone in the world go blind and then steal all this shit. I'm onto you, James.
Well, I remember Peter Jackson tried something like this with the second Hobbit film, where they increased the frame rate to make it look different, but apparently it just looked horrible.
It's terrible.
And I think they were putting it up to 60 frames per second, which I didn't even know what it was supposed to produce. So maybe I should have researched that before I started talking. But
no, that's the name of our show. You just talk about what's that thing? No, I'm not sure.
But yeah, the results weren't very good at all. So as I said, if anyone's going to do it, it's James Cameron. This guy's a genius. Oh, yeah. And as I said, every time he does a film, he tends to change the game. So we said this one would have to be a game changer because the film itself is just, it's a good film, but it was nothing spectacular. But it was the technology that brought everyone back to the theater. So let's see if he can do it again.
Exactly right. His initials aren't JC for nothing. If anyone can do it, he'll do it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, with all the talks of War for the Planet of the Apes happening in the next couple of weeks, that means that the director, Matt Reeves, is out doing press, and he's dropping a few little hints and bits and pieces about what's going to be happening in his new Batman film. So there's a few trivial bits here. They're all rumors, of course. We don't know exactly. But the film is going to be kind of like a noir film. So, through the eyes of Batman. So, this could be a complete game changer in itself for all superhero films, too. We could be seeing something on the lines of kind of what Sin City kind of was many years ago and brought into a Batman world.
Yeah, I really like this, and the reports of them trying to take a cue from the first Batman Arkham Asylum game. Have you played that game?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's friggin' awesome, and the story is solid, and a whole Batman movie set in one location as he's sort of trying to unravel this mystery and getting attacked by the different villains that he's put in Arkham Asylum. Like, that's a cool ass movie right there.
It is, and it's a really cool way to introduce the array of villains. That
Yeah, the
Batman
Rogues
has.
Gallery.
Yeah, so imagine if all of them are in Arkham at the moment, which I don't know how Joker would be because the last we saw him, obviously he was getting Harley Quinn out of prison. So how
We
he
don't
ends up
need
prison-
Joker. He's got so many other good ones.
No, we still got to have the Joker. I still want to see the Jared Leto face off with Affleck.
Yeah. Well, you can save it for the sequel, or like do kind of what they did in the film and have the main story about Batman traveling through Arkham to get to the Joker. So so he meets all of the villains, but the Joker's behind the screen pulling the strings.
Yeah,
That could be cool.
well, according to this website, we've got this covered. They're saying that the majority of the Ben Affleck, Jeff Johns script that was already written basically will stay intact. And rather than the Joker leading out all these villains out of Arkham, it will be Deathstroke, which we've seen the screenshots of already. So, so that could be the case here.
Do you think Ben Affleck's played Arkham Asylum? Because that's kind of cool.
It is. It would be very cool if he's played it.
Do you think he'd ask me around to come and play it with him?
Probably not. Maybe not.
Okay.
But if all these little bits and pieces that are coming out are true, like last week we said, he's going to be inspired by Hitchcock for this film, and now if we are stuck in Arkham Asylum and he has to work his way out and use his detective skills and have a noir film, like all those elements together, that sounds pretty damn cool, and it looks and would be completely different to anything we've ever seen before.
Are you telling me that the greatest detective who ever lived might actually do some detecting on the big screen?
Well,
What a novel concept.
Well, the last time he did some detective work, you hated it with the bullet fragments from
That was
from the
not
duck.
detective work.
That was
That
detective
was
work.
pulling crap. That was a writer who didn't know how to write a detective story.
Well,
That was so dumb.
Either way, he was doing some detective work in that, and you hated it. So
Are you kidding me? That was not detective. This is a story, a conversation for another time. But guys, back me up here, people.
you were far too easy to bait. I threw that one out there knowing that he would go on a rant.
But
Far
now
too
you've reminded me of it. You've ruined my whole holidays. I'm just been thinking about that for the last 2 weeks. How stupid it was.
Yeah, it was stupid.
I know, but
Next piece of news, and this part here is quite interesting because, this would completely break a trend of Hollywood. The Power Rangers 2 film, he was pretty much dead in the water after the film didn't do very well at the box office. It had a production budget of 100 million and only grossed, I think, 130 odd. So it didn't even cover all its costs when everything in marketing and everything else is thrown into it. But the toy company who also produced this saw a massive jump of 186% in profits from the action figures from this movie. Now, this is quite surprising because obviously I've got a 7-year-old son who likes to check out toys all the time. I didn't see any toys of the Power Rangers film. So I don't know if it was overseas or just didn't hit the shelves here, but there wasn't much. So to hear that the film jumped, or the profits jumped as much as it did with the release of the film is quite surprising. So I don't know if all the, kids got into all the old school stuff. I'm not sure. But a jump in 186% profit, that's pretty huge.
not bad.
Yeah. So the sequel, they kind of set up already at the end of the film where they were going to introduce the arrival of Tommy, aka the Green Ranger. And the director said that he would like to bring back Lord Zed into this film. So, they've already got ideas for it, but it's just a matter of if the profits for the toys was enough for the producer or the production company to go again. Well, we spoke about this last week with Joel Schumacher and the push for him to make the Batman and Robin film more toy-friendly. So,
yes,
we've seen Stranger Things. And honestly, I think the film does deserve a sequel because they did a lot of setup in the first one where we didn't get to see the Power Rangers in their full flight. And I would like to see a sequel where the Power Rangers can actually be Power Rangers. So I would be very happy to see a sequel.
Opening scene, just have them doing battle on the moon or something cool.
Yeah, it would be cool to actually have a Power Rangers film with some Power Rangers in it. That would be awesome. It's a good idea. Write that one down.
You do plan to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour?
Yes. Okay. Now, there was an interesting story came out, and I think it was just bullshit myself because I don't think any thought of this was put in place at the time. They just saw a window and took it. They're suggesting that Peter Parker was in Iron Man 2. Now, there's a scene at the end of the film where a little kid is wearing an Iron Man mask, and one of the robots is about to attack him. He puts his fist out, then Iron Man goes beside him and then shoots the robot. And then the kid thinks, obviously, he did it. Now, it came out this week that Tom Holland said that the character of Peter Parker was that kid wearing the Iron Man mask at Stark Expo, and he was in the battle scene of Iron Man 2. And I was just like, oh, come on, give me a break.
No, I know how this conversation went down, because he actually asked Paul Feig, and he's like, and he's a super excited guy about this, so he would have gone up and said, Paul, is that really that kid? And he would have gone, yeah, sure. And Tom Holland just would have went crazy, went onto this talk show and leaked it, and or just said it, and that everyone believes it. But you know what? It works.
It is a very cool idea. But as I said, I think he just watched Iron Man 2 at the time. I'm like, the age works out all right. Yeah,
exactly.
And it was set in Queens as well, Stark Expo. So, as I said, it's a cool idea, but I call bullshit.
I wonder if they reference it in Homecoming. It's legit.
Yeah, then I will tip my hat to it.
Yeah,
but I think they just pulled one out of their ass on that one.
I'm still taking it as my headcanon, though. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, there was a film last year, and it was a bit of a sleeper hit, and it's being...
Apparently it's a bit of a sleeper to watch, too, just quietly.
Well, this is what I'm going to get to. Last year, Ben Affleck's film, The Accountant, is getting a sequel. Now, I watched it. It was okay. I didn't think it was, spectacular, and neither did most of the critics, to be honest. It was quite mixed in its reviews, but off a $44 million budget, it grossed $155 million, so it was a nice little earner for Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And by the sounds of it, that's enough for a green light.
I think you could put Ben Affleck doing anything and he'd make $155 million.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not a huge sell for the film there. It's quite funny. I listened to another podcast where they watch bad movies and talk about how bad they are, and they just did The Accountant. So I listened to that podcast and then had a look at the running sheet, and they're making The Accountant sequel? I just heard it was terrible. But, they didn't talk about that it had made 3 times its money back.
Yeah. So I think Warner Brothers, obviously they have to pump out a certain amount of films per year. And they're probably looking for a safe bet here. So, if they can keep the production budget low, why wouldn't you throw a sequel at it?
Warner Brothers, if you're looking for movies, killer trolleys. That's all I'm saying.
We have this trolley film. We've spoken about it a few times.
We're willing to sell it to you for a premium.
And it would only cost $44 to make, let alone $44 million.
Exactly right. Yeah. And it's got to make you $150 in return. So basically, the profit margins are the same.
Exactly. It's writing its own checks.
And think of the merchandising. Little killer trolleys. Oh, man.
You're missing out, Warner Brothers.
Anyway, I'll look good on them. Go for it. I didn't think it needed a sequel, but okay.
All right, well, there was a rather sad story that came out this week. Well, sad and positive. Edgar Wright is on the press trail for his new film, Baby Driver. And I think at the moment that's got like a Rotten Tomatoes score of 96%. Everyone's everyone's loving this film. And someone asked him about the Ant-Man film that he was involved in and had he watched it. And he came out and said, I haven't even seen the trailer for this film, let alone the film. It says, and he basically said, it'd be the same as me asking, do you want to watch your ex-girlfriend have sex? And I'm like, no, I'm good. Now, the backstory is that Edgar Wright was writing this film for like 6 or 7 years with a friend. He went into pre-production, everything was ready to rock and roll, and then he basically left because, obviously, he wanted to make an Ant-Man film. He didn't necessarily want to make a Ant-Man film that was connected to the MCU. So he got the hee-ho pretty quickly. So you can kind of see where he's getting at. You wouldn't want to work
Oh,
on something
yeah.
for so long and be such involved with the character, and then all of a sudden it's been taken away from you and someone else is doing.
Absolutely, it'd be hard to work. It would be pretty tough. I hope he gets over it one day though, because the movie's fun.
Yeah.
And I hope one day he can return to the MCU in some form.
And it was quite funny because he told a story how he almost saw the film. He was sitting on an aeroplane, and then the person next to him started watching the film.
What are the chances?
Exactly, what are the chances? I don't think the person knew it was Edgar Wright or the story behind it. So he basically just put his own laptop on and started watching something else. So, as I said, that's the closest that he got to seeing the film.
I'm choosing to believe that someone in the MCU hired a man to go on and watch it around Edgar Wright so he could actually see the film to taunt him.
Well, we already know that the MCU have got all the critics in their pockets for when
Exactly
DC
right,
films come out, so that wouldn't surprise me either.
Exactly. They're a mafia over at the Marvel MCU. That's what it stands for, the Mafia Cinematic Universe.
They're like the Illuminati. They're just everywhere. They've got their paws into everything, and they control the world.
And you know what? Even if that were true, I'd be okay with it because I'm loving the MCU at the moment.
Yeah, I got no complaints either. All right, well, two people who can complain was the fallout continues from the Han Solo new directors and old directors being fired. And there was one story I didn't put in the rundown sheet off. I just remembered it now. But there were reports coming out that the actor whose name escapes me now, who is playing Han Solo, someone on the set or an insider said that his performance resembled Jim Carrey's from Ace Ventura.
Uh-oh.
They said his portrayal was the Ace Ventura of the Star Wars universe, and Han Solo's performance was that extreme, and that's why the directors got fired.
Alrighty, Chewie.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, I'd actually kind of want to watch that.
I actually want to watch that. I would love to see Han Solo bend over and talk out of his asshole. Excuse me, do you have a mint?
Maybe some Badaka? I'd like to ask you a few questions. That's a very quotable movie.
Yeah, that would be...
Oh, man, I want to watch that.
That would be phenomenal.
Jabba will come up to talk to him. Han, yes, Satan? Oh, I'm sorry, Jabba. I thought you were somebody else.
I can tell you've watched that film a few times.
That is a staple, let me tell you. I can't wait till my daughter's old enough to watch it because she's gonna make up for all the bloody Little Mermaid we're watching at the moment.
I haven't watched it in a long time. Does it still hold up?
Yeah, it's still funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's interesting though because you wouldn't make the movie now because the bad guy is like a transvestite with mental issues.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really hold up in that way. But Jim Carrey's performance is phenomenal.
I'm surprised
one could have done that role except him.
I'm surprised they never went back to the well for that one. They did with Dumb and Dumber. I know they did a sequel. I'm surprised now that they haven't gone back.
They did a sequel to Ace Ventura.
Yeah, they did. I'm saying, they haven't gone back to the well now.
Oh, yeah. I know Jim Carrey probably wouldn't do it anymore because he's kind of gone off the deep end a little bit. But, I don't know. I don't think anyone else could do it. But then again, I would have said that about the Dumb and Dumber guys, but they did that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that Jeff Daniels would go back after, he did a lot of good dramedies and everything else, and to see him go back to play Harry or Lloyd, I can't remember which one he was quite disturbing, to say the least.
I think he's just a big fan of Jim Carrey because he also went on SNL when Jim Carrey was hosting.
Yes, that was good actually.
Yeah.
I only got halfway through that sequel and turned it off. It was just horrendous.
I didn't even bother.
Yeah.
The first one was okay. I couldn't imagine it would be worthy for a second one.
Yeah.
But Ace Ventura sequel was solid.
Well, one of the other stories that are coming out of the set of the Han Solo film is that the iconic Jabba the Hutt puppet will be used in this film. That was a pretty good puppet. Yeah, that is pretty cool. Apparently, he's got a big part in this film, or a very important role in the Han Solo film, and they're bringing back the original puppet and obviously they're going to have some CG enhancements on it, but not like we saw in the bullshit Star Wars special editions and the Phantom Menace.
You don't think they're going to get Han Solo to walk around Jabba and step on his tail for some reason?
What was he thinking?
Oh my god. Did he go to bed and think, I made such a good decision today? God, what an idiot.
Yeah. He'd be like, you know what? Those idiots will pay to see another edition.
Yeah.
So I'll just throw anything I want in there.
I reckon George Lucas watched The Dark Knight and was like, "Oh my god, that's such good detective work."
Why didn't I think of a bullet fragment?
Exactly right.
Yeah. All right, well, with the talk of Spider-Man coming out, obviously Kevin Feige is out on the production trail, or not publicity trail, I should say, and is dropping a lot of bombs in regards to the MCU and what Phase 4 might entail. So at the end of Avengers 4 is when we finish Phase 3, and then we go into Phase 4, but they're keeping everything hush-hush in regards to what's happening in terms of that. There's a quote here by Feige. Do you want to read that one out?
I hope.
Yes.
I hope the news comes after Avengers 4. I think there'll be certain elements that start to come about, not the least of which is the already announced release date of the next Spider-Man film. But other than that, we're going to keep it very close to the chest because it is really about focusing on the unprecedented conclusion to a 22-movie overarching narrative. That is pretty insane when you say it like that.
Yeah, it is. It is very crazy to think that they've been telling the same story over 22 films, and they just keep getting better. So that's the best part of it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And I feel him. Like I'm really keen to know what's going to happen afterwards. But at the same time, you want people to guys, look here. We're about to finish off all the stuff that we've been banging on about for a decade.
So we know already that we're going to be seeing. Sorry, I've just got my list here. We got Thor Ragnarok at the end of this year, Black Panther, Avengers: Infinity War, Ant-Man and Wasp, and Captain Marvel. So they're all set to come out before the fourth Avengers film. And then we've got, after that, we've got the Spider-Man Homecoming sequel and the Guardians 3 film. But after that, we don't know nothing. So that's the best part of it. And usually this time of year, in previous phases, they've mapped out everything that we're going to see. So that got us thinking, what do we think is going to happen now in the MCU after this Avengers 4 film?
Yeah, it's fun to. I mean, it's pretty impossible to speculate in a sense because you don't know. Like the Infinity War will shake everything up, but it's a bloody fun thing to think about.
Yeah.
Can I give you a pitch?
Yes. So Sean's going to pitch his ideas for Phase 4, and then I'm going to give a prediction of what I think was going to happen.
All right. So now it's obviously limited in scope. You can't obviously predict everything that's going to happen, but these are a couple of things I think should happen. So 2 Avengers films. I'm sure there'll be more, but the first 2 to sort of set up the next phase. So the first one, I'm really stuck on it, and we've talked about this before, and it's called, get this, Avengers Reassemble, straight from the comics.
Yep.
And I'm really stuck on this idea of Black Widow becoming the new leader of the Avengers. Whether she's the new Captain America, which is what I would love, or not, doesn't matter, but she will be the new centerpiece. And it's like takes place in a world where you don't need the Avengers anymore. Thanos came, they sort of beat him away. I was going to say beat him off, but that's a very different movie.
It's a porn parody.
Exactly right. Which, yeah, I've got all 3 episodes of. So, and they've kind of like they've saved the day that you didn't need them, so they've all kind of gone into hiding. But then some supers start disappearing, or Black Widow's kind of reactivated, and she has to investigate. And it turns out that Hydra, that old chestnut, is still operating, and their chief agent in this film is none other than Spider-Woman, who, straight from the comics, and I've said she should be played by Jennifer Connelly, but I'd cast her as anything, because she was originally a Hydra agent. She's not related, obviously, to the other Spider-Man, so it'd just be cool. She's got such a cool costume. She's got such a cool kit. And as she does in the comics, she starts off bad, she becomes good, and it turns out that Hydra are trying to, like they were doing with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, trying to build supers because they're not to take over the world this time, but to protect the world, and you don't know from what, like that kind of looming thing. And then in the next film, you find out what they were trying to protect it from. The Submariner bitches coming from underneath the depths. Namor, King of Atlantis, rises to take control of the Earth because Atlantis got damaged during Thanos' attack, and he said, "No, screw this. Those surface dwellers don't deserve any part of this world." And because that's how he was in the comics when he first came out. He was the badass conqueror. So have him like that for a while. Also, I forgot to mention the first film introduces at least two new heroes. She-Hulk. She-Hulk would be a fantastic fit in this film. I agree that you couldn't have the Hulk as the main protagonist of his own film, but She-Hulk, she's hulked out, but she still keeps her intelligence, and she's really funny, and she's so I think she could be a great protagonist for a film. And Kamala Khan, who is the newest Miss Marvel. So she's a young female Muslim superhero who kind of has Mr. Fantastic's powers, but slightly different. And I don't really think they translate very well to the screen, but I still would love to see her because she's kind of got that Spider-Man vibe a little bit. She's like a young person who's trying to balance family and being a superhero and that kind of stuff. And she kind of would come in the right spot as well because she's part of her shtick. She's like a superhero fangirl. So taking place after everything that happened to the Infinity War, you can imagine people would be like that. Yeah. So they all join together to fight Namor in the second film, and I'd say he probably comes around to being good, or at least a bit of an anti-hero by the end of it. The other series I think that would be cool for them to do is Moon Knight. Do you know this character, Moon Knight?
Yeah, I do. But I believe there was talks of him coming to Netflix.
A Netflix series, yeah, I agree. But I would love to see a Dark Knight-esque trilogy with Moon Knight. I think a Netflix series could be awesome. But whether I'm not sure that's. I mean, it might still be going ahead. I'm not sure. I just haven't heard anything of it in a while. But yeah, I would just love. I think he would be worthy on the big screen. Yeah, and I said I'd love Kit Harington to play him. I think Kit Harington would do a great job with that kind of dissociative personality disorder that Moon Knight's got going. And yeah, I just love to see it.
Okay, well, I actually think they're going to go the opposite route of what you suggested. I think that the film's basically going to take place basically in a cosmic universe.
Yes, I agree. Actually,
everything that we're seeing, that's where it's heading. I think after that film, we're going to see a new Gattersley lineup in this third sequel. I think we'll see the current team that we've got be replaced. I believe that the Tony Stark and Steve Rogers characters will be killed off in Avengers 4. I don't think the characters will die, Iron Man or Captain America. I think they'll be replaced. I still think that we'll see Thor, because Thor can play in a cosmic universe. Obviously, I think Doctor Strange will have a bigger part in this world. I think he'll be the Tony Stark of the Avengers. So we're going to see a completely different lineup to the Avengers. And I reckon if they're going to introduce another character to play in this cosmic world, I think we might see Nova come into this franchise, whether it's through the Guardians films and then lead into, as you said, the Avengers Reassembled, which I do like because I think they're going to have to. And how Spider-Man plays into this, because whether he's still going to be in the Avengers per se, or rather just still live in this MCU world, I'm not sure. But that's how I see it playing out.
That would have been the perfect opportunity to introduce the Black Symbiote.
Yeah.
It's Spider-Man having a sojourn up in space. In fact, if they wanted to do Secret Wars, that would be epic. But yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. So I think, the characters, definitely Steve Rogers is gone. And I do think Tony Stark is gone as well, because Robert Downey Jr. is just too expensive now to put in their films. So they'll start to phase out these ones that we've known and loved for so long, and then start introducing a new batch. So as I said, anyone can jump in the Iron Man suit, and I'm sure there might be a predecessor along the way that Tony Stark might train up in the next couple of films. Who knows? If it would be cool if it ended up being like Peter Parker who took over that, but I doubt it. I don't think Sony would release that character to Marvel like that. But I think it's definitely going to go in a more cosmic route.
Yeah, I could probably see that, and I totally dig it. But yeah,
I personally don't think that they'll kill off Thanos either. I think Thanos will be a theme going across many more films after the two Avengers films.
I kind of hope so, and I hope he's cool. I hope he's not just some big floating purple dude that they just beat at the end. Like, I hope he has some charismatic interactions with the Avengers. I think that's what will make or break the Infinity War, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. As I said, I think that after all the deaths that are going to happen, that I think that a new cosmic team will have to be assembled to take on Thanos in his own element in space.
Yeah, okay, I can see this. That'll be cool.
Yeah, that's how I see it playing out.
Well, look, if it's that, if it turns out to be that, I'll be a very happy man.
I mean, both scenarios are very good, but obviously, I think there still needs to be a war being played out somewhere on Earth. So obviously, we can't take like the Black Panthers and the Ant-Mans and the Spider-Mans up into Earth. Maybe they join their own assembled team down here while the others go off and fight the cosmic villains out there. So there could be a cosmic one, and there could still be an Earth one. Who knows?
Yeah. I guess we'll find out in due time, and I, for one, am excited.
Yeah, the next 5 years are really exciting because we don't know what to expect at all.
Awesome.
All right, well, what did you think of our thoughts? Let us know in the comments of the podcast. If you don't already, please have a look at our Facebook page, Not Another Movie Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube page as well. There's links on our Facebook page to that as well. So just get connected, stay in touch. Just boost our numbers, please. I don't want to have another depressing week.
Our sense of self relies on this.
Exactly. My week depends on it. So please, just click download. You'll love it. Trust me.
Although if they're already listening to this, they already have downloaded, so it's kind of redundant.
Yeah, well.
Download another device.
Yeah, borrow your wife's phone, borrow your mum's phone, borrow whoever's phone. Just click download.
Last time I borrowed my wife's phone to download something objectionable, it didn't turn out too well. So just be careful there, guys.
Be careful what you download, exactly.
Exactly right. And clear your search history. Sorry, go on.
No, well, that wraps up another show of Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Sean Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly.
And let your week be a good week until next week.